Hello, my darling, you gorgeous human you, and welcome to day 20 of 100 Days of Self-Love. And today we're talking about, we've been talking about loving all of you, not just loving the best bits, loving the whole shebang, the bits that you secretly think are a bit weird, and, the not so nice bits, like, I don't know, like my lack of timekeeping, for example. It annoys everybody, but, it's... Welcome to ADHD brain. But seriously, it's like loving all the best bits and the bad bits and the not so great bits. And then accepting that you're kind of weird, and that's okay, because we're all weird. FYI, everybody's a weirdo, right? Nobody, if they saw what's in our heads and they like it, in the banks or the travel agents, when you have that they're really old fashioned, but they have like those electronic boxes, and they have all the words that flash across the screen. If we had those in our heads and people could actually see what we think, like they could read our thoughts, true story, we'd all get locked up without exception. I mean, we all have weird thoughts and weird just things that pop in there that we're not in control of, and that's okay, because they're just thoughts. But what I want to talk to you today about, if we can start with the fact that you love all of you, even the bad bits, and we can accept that we're not perfect, because no one is, but if we can give ourselves permission to want to be the best version of ourselves, because that's a thing, could you think, for example, of something that you've always wanted to learn or improve, like always wanted to get better at? A while back, I decided I wanted to learn flower arranging. So instead of going to a class, because I didn't feel like I had time for a class, I ordered flowers from a company that would deliver them and tell me how to make them. But there's loads of things that I've done just because I've always wanted to learn to do them. In lockdown, I learned I became a qualified, is it called chandler? Like somebody who makes candles professionally. I did that because I love candles. So I just decided to become this professional person and doing that. And I got a certificate and a qualification in this course about learning candle making. And the thing is, if we spend less time beating ourselves up and more time thinking about, we can waste hours in the day beating ourselves up in our own heads. Like, if you don't believe me, catch yourself doing it tomorrow and think about so you may be beating yourself up when you wake up in the morning, beating yourself up as you're getting dressed because you can't fit into whatever size of clothes, beating yourself up when you're late for work, beating yourself up because the kids are late for school, beating yourself up in the car on the way to work, and it goes on. We don't realize always that we're doing it. So if you could take that time, which I guarantee you is not 2 minutes a day, it's quite a lengthy stretch of the day, and actually applied that time, saying, well, I've got that time, I'm not going to do that anymore, so that's frees up some of my time, and apply that time to actually learning something that you've always wanted to learn. Maybe you've always wanted to learn a second language, and instead of having that horrible conversation in your head on the way to work, put an Audible on, or put some kind of language training on. But just have a think, and I'd love it if you type in the comments below, what have you always wanted to learn? Like, what is that one thing? Have you always wanted to, what did I do? A while back, they were just making me laugh, because my middle daughter, who was at the time, I'm going to say she was maybe 11, 12. And she had this thing for Cath Kidston, and she loved the whole patchwork thing and the floral thing. So I decided that instead of buying a quilt, which would have been so much easier, I was going to learn to quilt, which meant I bought a sewing machine. I did everything, and I went to quilting classes, and it took me forever to learn to make this quilt. And when I learned to make it, by the time I gave it to her, she'd, as kids do, decided she wasn't into it anymore. Yeah, that was the thing. But seriously, it's like, have you always wanted to knit? Have you always wanted to learn to scuba dive? Have you always fancied yourself going on horses? Have you been fascinated by photography? Do you want to learn a new language? One of the most beautiful expressions of self we can have is actually saying, I want to do that for me. Like when we were at school, we had to do it for GCSEs or or A levels, or to get credits for our Duke of Edinburgh, or just so that we didn't, we didn't get into trouble, whatever. And then as an adult, we maybe learn things for work. But when was the last time you learned something just for you? Because. So think. And I would love to celebrate with you. If you have any aha moments, I genuinely would love to go, yay, with you. So if you can type into comments below that what's that one thing that you have always wanted to do? Let me know. All right, my darling, see you tomorrow for day 21. Bye.